Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good evening or good afternoon. A few comments and a few questions to the good chairwoman of appropriations, through you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, sir.
Mr. Speaker, we heard some good comments here so far this afternoon. I'd like to thank Representative Byron, Ferraro, and others for speaking on the line of disabilities and the way we work up here with the IDD and really try to help those families in getting the services they need, with having over 2,000 people on a waiting list and wanting to move things forward. We know that we're in a very difficult economic time here in the state of Connecticut, but economic times, it's very difficult to weigh those against an actual human life and somebody who needs services. And a question to you, I believe, the good chair of appropriations, or sitting next to her could be the chair of human services. In regards to T438, which is Department of Social Services, the $17.9 million cut. In previous budgets, we have seen the DSS Torrington office line item in there as closing. This budget does not show that. Does this $17.9 million cut give the discretion to the commissioner to do that? Is there any intent through you, Mr. Speaker?
Representative Walker.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the good gentleman from Winsted, could you just repeat what line item? I was trying to turn to the line and look at it.
Representative Case,
on page 14, it's I'm just looking at the personal services line of T439. It's a total of $17.9 million cut out of the agency. My question is, in previous budgets, the Torrington DSS office has been on the chopping block, and I am concerned about that, and I'd like to know if there's any intent in this, or is it to the discretion of the commissioner? Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Walker.
Through you, Mr. Speaker. Our request was to maintain the office in the DSS office in Torrington. We asked them to make sure that they would contact us, but we did ask that the reductions in that line item be addressing the middle management and the upper management, not the direct services. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Case.
I thank the good chairwoman for her answer and the concern that she has, and she's heard a bunch of us talk about it, because there's only 26 employees in the office, but we serve hundreds of square miles of people going all the way up to the Mass border. And I believe, reading through these budget documents, and correct me if I'm wrong through you, Mr. Speaker, there is no line item anymore for the bus service to go from Torrington to Waterbury, which was anticipated to help cover this if it did close. Through you.
Representative Walker.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, the good gentleman from Winsted is correct. That was one of the reductions that was put into the budget. But again, I want to go back to the fact that it's $861 million in reductions, which I might say that all of us have looked at in a variety of different ways. But this was one of them. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Case.
I thank the good woman, and you know, on both sides of the aisle, you know, Representative Gibran, our appropriations ranking member, and yourself for working together and getting these numbers. That is a very big concern of constituents in my area. You know, if you think about going from the Mass border all the way down to Waterbury to get services, it's quite difficult. Myself, having, as we know in this chamber, I have a brother of special needs, so I use the DSS office, you know, on a regular basis to try to help him with his needs. So it's used for many. People just think DSS is for people of the unfortunate, people who need their checks, or it's used for many other different reasons other than financial. And I hope that if we do have any intentions of closing it, the legislature is made aware of it, and there are provisions made for either a mobile unit or the busway to Waterbury. I want to thank the good woman for her answers, and I will listen to the rest of the comments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Davidsky.